All right, so here's a review on secondary dominants, specifically leading tone, diminished seventh chords. All right, so this is a page from the workbook. This is page 147 from the Kotskapane workbook, if you want to follow along there. I've done a few of these already in class, but I'll just work through them right now for review. So, first of all, we have A major. We need to write the key signature of A major. This says 7 diminished 6 of 3. 3 in the key of A major is C sharp. So we need a leading tone to C sharp, which is B sharp. We're going to need a B sharp diminished triad, and we need that chord in first inversion. So a B sharp diminished triad is B sharp, D sharp, F sharp. So we'll need a D sharp on the bottom, F sharp, and a B sharp right there. All right, that's a B sharp, D sharp, F sharp diminished triad in first inversion. B sharp is the leading tone to C. C is 3 in the key of A sharp. So this is the 7 diminished chord triad in the key of C sharp minor. Again, if you want to think of the trick or an easy way to get a B sharp diminished triad, just take the sharp off and spell a B major triad, B, D sharp, F sharp, and then raise B to B sharp, and you have a diminished triad. Let's look at this one right here. This is F. Wrote that on the wrong space because I was thinking of bass clef, but this is the dreaded alto clef. 2 in the key of F is G, so we're going to need an F sharp diminished triad, which is F sharp, A, C. Again with the trick. FAC is a major triad, so F sharp AC is a diminished triad. 6 means it's first inversion, so A will be the lowest sounding pitch. Here's C, this is A, C, and F, and we're going to add an F sharp right there. F sharp, AC. Let's look at this one right here. C minor, B flat, E flat, A flat. 6 in the key of C minor is A flat. This is easier than a secondary 5/7 chord because all you have to do is think of a half step lower than A flat, the leading tone to A flat, which is G. So we're going to need a G diminished triad. G, B flat, and D flat. Again, first inversion, so B flat is the bottom note. It's the lowest sounding note, D flat and G. And we need the flat on the D to give us the, to make it a diminished triad. G is a leading tone to A flat. This is a G diminished triad. This is the 7 diminished 6 chord in the key of A flat. Right here, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp. Sloppy. Okay. 4 in the key of E is A. What's a leading tone to A? G sharp. Okay, think of a G major triad as GBD, right? So G sharp, B, D is a G sharp diminished triad. And then we're going to need, it's a 6/5, so it's actually a 7 chord. So this will need to have an F on it. So we can expand on that trick. Think of a G7 chord, G, B, D, F. That's a G7, meaning major triad with a minor 7th. If you have that chord, just stick a sharp on it right here. That turns our major 3rd into a minor 3rd, our perfect 5th into a diminished 5th, and our minor 7th into a diminished 7th, which is the formula for G sharp fully diminished 7. And 6/5 means that the third of the chord is the lowest sounding note. So we got B, D, F, G. And we need G sharp, B, D natural, and F natural. That gives us a G sharp fully diminished seventh chord, which is the leading tone diminished seventh chord to A major. Let's try this right here. We're in the key of A flat. The 4 chord in the key of A flat is D flat. What's a leading tone to D flat? C, right? So now we need a C fully diminished 7 chord. All right, that's going to be C, E flat, G flat, and B double flat. All right, and this is root position. So right here we got C, E flat, G flat, and B double flat. That is our C fully diminished 7th chord. C is a leading tone to D flat. D flat equals 4 in the key of A flat. So this chord is 7 diminished 7 of 4. I'm going to do 2 more of these. Here's G minor. There's our key signature of G minor. Now, remember in a minor key, the 7 chord can take 2 forms. It can be built on natural minor, the 7th note of the natural minor scale, or the 7th note of the harmonic minor scale. Okay? And if it's on natural minor, it's the major 7 chord. And if it's on the 7 chord from harmonic minor, it is 7 diminished. Now, when we're doing a secondary chord, we're tonicizing a chord. We can't tonicize a diminished chord. A diminished chord is never acting as a tonic, right? So it wouldn't make sense to have 7 diminished 7 of 7 diminished. That's not going to happen. If you're in a minor key, it's going to be 7 of what we call the subtonic 7, the 7 on the lowered 7th scale degree. So with the key signature, that is the F major chord, FAC. So we need the leading tone to F, which is going to be E natural. I'm just going to stack up our thirds here. And you could think, what is an E flat 7 chord? E flat G, B flat, D flat, and then just raise E flat up to E. Or you could just calculate a diminished triad, E, G, B flat, and a diminished 7th, which is E up to D flat. That's an E fully diminished 7th chord. That is 7 diminished 7 of F major. F major is the 7 chord in the key of G minor. All right, so you have to be able to calculate fully diminished 7th chords. All right, now I'm going to try a few of these, the identification ones. All right, so this is just reversing the process. And I know I did some of these in class. So let's start down here, right here. Okay. So we're in F major. Is this chord chromatically altered? Yes. What kind of chord is this? A, C, E flat is a diminished triad. A to G, that's a minor 7. Okay. So this right here, it can be a secondary dominant, secondary leading tone chord. But it's got to be the 7 half diminished 7. That's the one that comes from major. All right, so since this is a diminished triad with a minor 7th, it's the half diminished 7 chord. For it to be fully diminished, this would be a G flat. Okay, so now this is a leading tone chord. A is a leading tone to B flat. What is B flat in the key of F? It is 4. So this is 7 half diminished 7 of 4. All right, let's look at this one right here. With the key signature and accidentals, I see C sharp, E, G, B flat. That is a fully diminished seventh chord. C sharp, fully diminished 7. C sharp is a leading tone to D. What is D in the key of F sharp? It's 6, right? And remember, in a minor key, the 6th chord is major. Okay, so this is a fully diminished, so this is 7, fully diminished 7 of 6. Let's look at this one. I see F sharp, A, C natural. That's an F sharp diminished triad. F sharp is a leading tone to G. What is G in the key of D? That's 4. So this is going to be something of 4. And this right here is a 7 diminished triad in first inversion. 7 diminished 6-3. Let's look at this one. Right here, I see a triad again. D, F, A flat. Okay, so this is interesting. This is a D diminished triad. Okay, a diminished triad in its first inversion. So this could be a 7 diminished 6 of something. Okay, D is a leading tone to what? It's a leading tone to E flat. Do we have E flat in the key of C major? We do not. So based on what we know right now, we're just going to say that this is not a secondary leading tone chord that we can explain just yet. Okay. Next year, when we get into mode mixture, we will say that this is a leading tone 7th chord to an E flat major chord. And we do have an E flat major chord in the key of C minor, not C major. So we could say this is 7 diminished 6 of flat 3 major, and this chord is the 3 chord from C minor, and we're just borrowing it over here into C major. It's called mode mixture or modal borrowing. We're in C major, and we're just freely kind of pulling over the chords from the parallel minor, from C major to C minor. Let's look at this last one here. I see an F double sharp, A sharp, and C sharp. Okay, so we've talked about the trick for figuring out diminished triads. We don't have an F double sharp key in order to figure out these intervals. So let's just make this an F sharp. F sharp, A sharp, C sharp. Is that a major triad? Yes, it is. Okay, so if we take F sharp, A sharp, C sharp, which is a major triad, and we take the root of that F sharp and raise it a half step to F double sharp, that is an F double sharp diminished triad. So this could be 7 diminished in its first inversion of something. Okay, what is F sharp a leading tone to? F sharp, F double sharp leads to G sharp. Okay, I love how it's G sharp. There's a great song called Bebop Inch in G sharp, that I think this chord plays a prominent role in. All right, so G sharp in the key of C sharp is 5, right? That's the 5 chord, so this is 7 diminished 6 of 5. All right, let's do maybe 2 more. Right here, okay, so we're in the key of A flat. This bottom line here is F. So this is F sharp, A, C, E flat. That's an F sharp fully diminished 7th chord. F sharp is a leading tone to G. What is G in the key of A flat? Well, G itself is 7, right? So we're going to say that this is not secondary leading tone diminished 7th chord, because we wouldn't want to do 7 diminished 7 of 7, because we can't tonicize something that can't be a tonic, and a diminished triad can't be a tonic. So that one is a nothing. Let's do one last one. So we'll have done 6 on each page. Right here, I see E, G, B flat. That is an E diminished triad. E is a leading tone to F. So, and F is 2 in the key of E flat. This is 7 diminished 6 of 2. Okay. These 7 of something, these kinds of leading tone diminished 7th chords and leading tone diminished triads of something are easier than the 5s because you just go up a half step to figure out where it's going. Or you go down a half step to figure out what note it should start on if you're going the other way. All right, I hope this helps. At the end of the chapter of the tonal harmony textbook, there are examples of these 2 exact exercises where there are answer keys at the back of the book if you need more practice. So, all right, well, happy studying, and good luck on the quiz tomorrow.